Hi everyone, this is Mike with episode 70 of Getting Everyone Moving, brought to you by Palms to Pines Parasports. Today's guest is Keith Wallace. He is the executive director of the Lincoln Way Special Recreation Association. Hi Keith.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Good. Tell us about Lincoln Way. Looks like a great organization.
Yeah, so I'm the like you said, I'm the executive director of Lincoln Way Special Recreation Association. I've been here for about 16 years. Prior to here, I was the program coordinator at the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago, which is now Shirley Ryan. And before there, I was at a place called Northern Suburban Special Recreation Association. So Special Recreation Associations is pretty unique to Illinois. There are 31 SRAs in the state of Illinois, and we're all a part of a park district program. So what that means is individuals the park districts levy funds for programming to be a part of the park district program because they couldn't do adaptive programming or therapeutic recreation programming in itself. So each one of them levy funds, and then we get 2 cents, they get 2 cents. Their 2 cents allows them to do their accessible things for their ADA projects in the parks, and then they give the other 2 cents to us, which allows us to create recreational opportunities for individuals with disabilities. So we have a program book, which we do. We have Special Olympics to Paralympics to day program. We have a bunch of things that we have here that we provide. So that's kind of how we get our funding and how we do things. But our adaptive sports program is, really huge. We have 5 teams, and we've just been growing like crazy. We have a minis team. We were like one of the first to start a minis team, which starts from 3 to like 8. And we have about 7, between that age group, we got about 7 individuals, and we do 3-on-3 with them, and then we graduate them to the prep level, and then we kind of keep going on. So yeah.
That's amazing. I work for the Desert Recreation District, and within that we have a small adaptive program, but I've never heard of these kind of special needs recreation kind of areas, district. Do you know of do other states do this, or is this, no, it's just,
No, it is unique to Illinois. Like I said, there are 31 of us right now, and they're all a part of a park district. So it takes 2 park districts or 2 municipalities. The way the levy, the bill, the law is written, that to make it. So if I had a municipality and a park district, we couldn't form that partnership. It has to be 2 of 1. It has to be 2 park districts or 2 municipalities. Now we can have 2 park districts in 1 municipality, but we have 7 park districts that funnel into us. There are some that have like 14 that funnel into them. And with that said, with adaptive sports, it is a low incidence population. So a lot of and it's an expensive thing to run. So a lot of SRAs don't run the adaptive portion. All of them run Special Olympics, but in Illinois, there are three SRAs that run the adaptive basketball. And then you have, wheelchair basketball. And then you have 2 other, I'd say 4. Chicago is like its own beast because they don't have to have a partnership. So we have 4. And then we have Glassa. We have Glassa that runs by themselves. So they're not a special rec, but they're, by themselves. So you have us, and that makes 5 teams in Illinois, which is really good because we don't have to go far to find somebody to play.
so you also have University of Illinois, which is,
Yep.
one of the first schools, right, to do wheelchair basketball. You have Glassa. Um, what, what is it that's so unique about Illinois? Do you have any feeling for that at all?
Well, this is what I tell people. In Illinois, you have people that get it, and you have some major players. Like, I know we talk to each other, we help each other out. When we're out in public, like if I see somebody that's down here on the south side, and I know, I'm like, hey, you have to go up if you live in Libertyville, you got to go to Glassa, you know. But we do that, and we're actively recruiting, and we do a lot of things. We're in the schools a lot, so we do a lot of networking and finding people. But we all have each other's cell phone number. So what's the good thing is when we meet a kid, and I tell everybody, it's funny. It's like dating. I don't give them my number. You know, I have to get their number because they don't know the good news that I have for them. They don't know everything that the adaptive program will open up their eyes, their world, and change their world, like if they've never seen it. So getting their number is very important. And then for me, I have a timetable. I like, you know, I'll call them every month. And then after that first year, I'll go down to like 6 times. Then the third year, I'll go to 3 until I get them, you know, or till they tell me, stop calling me, we're not interested. But we also, we pass the numbers along, and, you know, that's what Chicago, that's what Synergy, which is Synergy Bulls, that's what Hijra. We kind of help each other out when we find a kid that needs to go somewhere that's closer to their home.
So it's really it's a huge collaborative. Tell us about what do you do in the schools?
Well, we have a program called, we call it PE Takeovers. So when we're in the schools, we have a program, and it's on our website. We'll go, like pre-COVID, we went into all of our schools in our districts. So we would do probably 20 to 30 PE takeovers. So we would take over the whole PE period all day. If it's several days, if they want to do the whole school, we'll take it over. But we don't only bring in basketball. And I think that's where a lot of programs that do it, they just bring in basketball. We have a pretty good routine where we bring in goal ball, sit volleyball, basketball, and we have a disability awareness station. So we cycle them in, we give them about 10 minutes each. It's a pretty fast process. And we give them a taste of everything, and we have question and answers. And then we do follow-up. So we ask the teachers to say, hey, if the kids have any additional questions, we will personally respond to those questions to the students, and we do a little follow-up with it. And then that way, if we see the whole school, we may find that kid that limps in that didn't know they can play, and then we just start, you know, we might find that kid that's that diamond in the rough that had no idea this existed. And that's why we do it, and we get paid for it. So they come in, you know, they give us $350 a shot. And then if they do assembly, so if they do a PE takeover game in the afternoon, like we'll do that during the whole day, and then we'll have a nighttime event where we play the faculty and some students. They raise money for us, and if they do that for us, we don't charge them the $350 to come out. So that funded our whole program, and it was, you know, and it's getting a lot of awareness out there. You know, I used to go talk to like chambers and things and people our age, but the bottom line is those individuals, they're already set and made up in their mind. I'm trying to get the kids where, you know, if somebody has a disability, they can be like, hey, I did that in my gym class when I was like 6, you know, or 7. You know, this is what they were talking about. You know, God forbid somebody has a child with a disability, but that's the nature of the beast, and it's going to happen.
So do you find that the school program does change perceptions? I mean, especially of the, you know, the youth that participate, the able-bodied youth that participate in the program?
Yes, absolutely. In our area, they all want to be on the teams. They all want to know how they can play and be with their student in the class. You know, and that puts me in a retrospect where I didn't tell you before that I've been challenged with starting my own wheelchair basketball league this year. That is an inclusive league that's going to allow able bodies to play. So that's coming down the pipe, and nothing to take anything against our, you know, the NWBA and what they're doing, but we want to make sure we're finding a lot of people are want to play recreationally and just have that experience. And who are we to say that that's not an opportunity? So give that opportunity for them. And I think that's what, you know, that's where we're going. And you know, our kids are knocking down the door when we do our registration. They're like, we want to play, we want to come in and play.
Yeah, you know, I ran an inclusive league when I lived in Tucson in 2017, and we must have had 50 people that participated. You know, it was
Yeah.
obviously people with disability, but then, you know, friends and cousins and relatives, and it was so much fun, you know, and
Yeah.
it got everyone involved.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah.
so you've also, you were telling me you do work internationally too.
Yeah.
Can you describe some of that and tell us why do you do that?
Well, I get long-winded, but one day I was sitting in church, and it was probably, I was like maybe 10 years ago, and we sitting in church, and and they were going to do a mission trip, and I was like, that sounds like a good time. That sounds like something I would want to do. They were going to Africa, and I was like, they want to take 100 people, and I was like, well, I could be one of those 100, but I don't like needles. I don't want to be on the nursing team. I was like, I really don't want to, I don't like building anything. I was like, I don't want to be in it. I don't do the, I can do that. So I didn't want to do that. And then there was one other team, and I was like, no, that's not for me. So I reached out to the lead person and was like, listen, I work with people with disabilities. That's what I do. I recreate and work with people with disabilities. Is there a place on the team for somebody that does that? And a week went by, they didn't get anything. And then they finally called, and they were working, God was working behind the scenes, and they were reaching out to see if they had any people in the school that we were going to that had disabilities. They identified probably, I think in the school, they identified probably 10 that first year. And then I was like, okay, that's enough. So we went down and we worked with the 10 kids, and we did, we modeled it off the Special Olympics. I brought a couple wheelchairs. They had a few people with physical disabilities. I brought some walkers, some canes and things like that. And then, we left after 14 days. When you go on a mission trip, you leave. You don't want to, there's no follow-up really. You just leave, and you leave it the way you don't know what you gave.
Yeah.
So the next year when I came back, not knowing how many people, they're like, from that first time you went, we now went into the community and we found 250 kids with disabilities in the surrounding. So the next year we came back, we programmed for 10, we programmed for 250. And then we left a couple nuggets there after the first year. We're saying like, some of the schools, you guys are doing inclusive settings in the schools where, some of these kids that have autism, the rest of the kids are not learning anything because you got this kid that's having behavior for hours. So I was like, it may be beneficial. And I said, emphasis, you may be beneficial to pull that kid into a segregated classroom to start. So, till he can get where he is. So the following year after that, they had built a school. So from that, they built a whole school off of, and they call it pull in place or something like that. So they'll pull them out in place and get them ready. So it's like really just, your words and the things we're doing is doing stuff over there. And the last time I went, I just like at the end of a mission trip, the last 3 days, they send you on safari. So before you come back to the States, you kind of debrief and everything you saw is really heavy. So they want to make sure you don't come back to the United States with what you just saw. So they send you on safari and you kind of debrief and you do your stuff. But this last time I decided to work with the Kenya national team with wheelchair basketball. So I brought my chair that I have. I don't have a disability, but I enjoy playing.
Yeah.
But I brought my chair, and they really liked it. They're like, this is pretty cool. And then I was able to kind of just show them some skills and, give them some equipment. I gave them some balls. I gave them a bunch of stuff, but I also introduced wheelchair softball to them, which was really awesome because they never played softball. And it was really funny. I was ready to give them like drills and instructions, but once they hit the ball, they were running to third base. I was like, oh boy, I have to back it up. And then when they got the ball, people were running, they were throwing the softball at each other. I was like, no, you don't throw it, you got to tag them. So I had to go back into my teaching to say, okay, how did I teach my daughter when we first started,
Yeah.
softball? And it was kind of that structure. So I love going. Hopefully I can go back and do this again with them. But after watching a few games of them on the social media and their live games, and like they had questions, and I was like, okay, when I was showing them the pick and roll and how to defend it,
Yeah.
and they were like, oh, this is how they kept getting in. I was like, yeah, now this is how you defend it. And then, not being able to speak Swahili, it was really hard, but they were very receptive of the basic skills to kind of really help them defend the pick and roll and the seal and all of that. So it was kind of really exciting to do that, because anybody can just get the ball and go and play, but once they start understanding the game, it made a little more sense to them. So I wish I had more than a day to do it, but that's all I had, and it was fun.
Let's see if we can get you more than a day. That would be really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Keith, what did you do? I mean, in growing up, I mean, I don't know. Did you ever think you'd be doing this kind of work?
I did, and that's great. That's a great question, because when I talk about where I am and how I got here, I always get it down to my grandmother. My grandmother was a single leg amputee, and she passed away from diabetes. And this was when I was in 8th grade. So I didn't know what I was going to do at 8th grade. But I always keep saying that she puts me in situations and places, and she's like a puppet master, really guiding my life in the direction it needs to be. I always say, like, when she puts me in, like, she'll put me in a spot where I need to meet this new athlete, or I need to talk to somebody. And it's like, why, I'll be sitting at home like, why, I don't want to go to the store today or something like that. And then something will come over me, and I'll go, and then I'll find a kid in a store that never knew anything about wheelchair sports, or things like that. So she, and it may sound cheesy, but I think, I'm all about that. And, she's up in heaven, really driving me in every decision that I have, even from, the path of my career and the steps that I've made. I work with individuals with cognitive disabilities at the beginning, and then moving me to the rehabilitation of the Institute of Chicago, which worked with individuals with physical disabilities, and then taking that leap as a superintendent here, first, and then knowing that I needed to be here for the South Side to do what we needed to be done down here, because there's nothing down here, to the extent that I've seen it other places. So yeah, I never knew what I was going to be, when I grew up. I wanted to play professional sports. That wasn't in my cards. I played baseball growing up. That was, wasn't in my cards. Things didn't happen, but I within college didn't have a really good college career that I thought I was going to have. I sat the bench a lot, never really got my chance. But, I always tell people too that motivated me to be a better coach, because, like a lot of, when you talk about, playing time and you deal with parents, I was raised as a single parent, or my mom was a single parent. So I didn't have my dad to come and speak up for me. So, my mom did what she could. From to high school, I was good, but in college, I never really had somebody say, "Hey, why is my kid not getting any playing time?" Like some of the other people. But I put in all the hard work. But that made me a better coach, because I didn't get that playing time, and which I would have loved. But right now, when I coach, I give kids meaningful minutes and meaningful time and meaningful games. So I want your kid to know that these are the things that he needs to work on in a game situation. I'm not going to give you the garbage minutes where the last 5 minutes, I'm going to put you in a game, so that, and your parents know that these are the things that you need to work on. If it's pushing, if it's finishing, if it's rebounding, if it's picking, if it's sealing, you got to know, you got to get, you got to know some of those things to get more playing time. Because honestly, I look at it as 500% of playing time. You'll have two kids that it's going to get 200, 100% each. And then those other three kids and adults are going to got to split that 300. And the better you get, and the more you learn some of those skills, your hustle and being on a team is going to get you probably 5 or 10%. But once you start picking up some of those other skills with finishing and picking, being a good teammate, those things, talking on the bench, that cuts into that other time, and then you start sharing that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it made me a better coach, because I did not get a chance to play. So, and I understand what those kids are feeling like. So I want to make sure they're going to get in the game. I have an example too of one of my players in softball. Great player, a lot of hustle. and wanted to play, wanted to be on USA team. I was like, all right, you come to me and approach me and you had this conversation, you're in the game. And, you know, they kept hitting it to that person. They kept hitting it to that person. And that person was like, take me out, take me out. I was like, no, you got to learn. You got to learn. You got to learn how to catch the ball. You got to learn how to do it, because I can only hide you for so long. And you want to play and you express that you want to play, got to be in there. So, and that made us have a better relationship too.
So we're coming out of COVID now, thank goodness. What are some of the programming that you're going to be doing, I guess, to get people reacquainted with adaptive sports?
Yeah. Well, we have a pretty intense return to play guidelines in Illinois, let alone LWSRA. We make sure everybody has an assessment. So they have to assess, and we have 3 tiers. We have 3 levels, 3 tiers that we put them in. You know, you can come back. We got 3 levels. So based on what they fill this assessment out is when they can come back. So based on like tier C is like, you need one-on-one care. Tier A is you can wear a mask, you can social distance, you can do everything, you're good. So those are the 2 different tiers. So we put that in guidelines. So the parents really, you fill that out, or the athletes, they fill that out and they tell us when they can, and then we're ready to go, based on that. So right now in our summer guide, we're going to try to do softball based on if, the world opens up, we're going to try to do softball. We're going to continue to do basketball all through summer because kids missed so much this year. So we're going to continue to do those one-on-one skills. At LWSRE, we do a summer league every year. We do a summer league, and we're going to continue that. It's inclusive. It's going to be the league that I started is the NAWBL. So that league is going to be like kicking off around there with able bodies able to play. And we do it every summer. So we're going to do that. And then our traditional programs, we have our Special Olympics programs. We have a lot of things that we're trying, and it's all contingent on, people doing their part in the world. And that's what it is. So if people continue to do their part, then we can continue to do more. We're bringing our part-time staff back. That was something that I was kind of fearful of because, the laws aren't geared towards employers. They're geared towards employees, which is fine. But, there's a lot of unfunded mandates out there that require you to give employees things that, that if they get COVID, you gotta foot the bill. And if there's no money coming in to subsidize that, it's hard to pay somebody when you don't have a program to do that. So, yeah, we're ready to come back. We're excited. Once we can get through this legal stuff and all that, we're ready to go.
Yeah. Okay. I'm listening to you, you're doing a lot to create more inclusion,
Yeah.
whether it's through sports, but what else do you think we need to do, to create more inclusive society, well, especially in the US or where you are locally?
Mm-hmm. I think we really need to, for adaptive sports or, any sports with people with disability or activities, we need to celebrate what we do. We need to talk about it. We need to invite our friends, have conversations on, people knowing what we do. It can't be a secret. It can't be between us all the time. I think we're doing a really good job of a lot of programs streaming, but where are you getting that streaming out to? Is it just the same people that we're, cycling, trying to watch? Who's watching it? Are we reaching out to, major networks and saying, because there's a big push on, for people with disabilities right now. So what message are we putting out there? All these groups, are we becoming a unified front and having, honest conversations? Are we really trying to push the needle forward for individuals with disabilities as far as, jobs? That's one of my things too. Like, are we content with, individuals being on SSI, or are we going to businesses and saying, okay, we have individuals that could work here, give them a job where they have to decide if they're going to take your benefits, company benefits, or stay on SSI. That's the world that I'm looking for us to be in, is being inclusive in that matter, not giving me a not giving my friends and my people a charity pat on the back and giving them a job that doesn't mean a hill of beans. I want somebody that, I want somebody that's going to give somebody a real chance at life and being a taxpayer in this society. And when we can get to that point, I think we win. But we got to have real conversations on what the problems are. People don't want to have real conversations on what the issues actually are. And we kind of, that's with race, that's with, LGBTQ plus, that's what everything. People don't want to have those conversations. We want to have, safe conversations and comfortable conversations, but, change happens when we're uncomfortable, and we have to really push that needle forward and stop, and that's just my opinion. I could talk about this all day, but those are the things that I think that needs to happen. Wheelchair, when we throw a wheelchair basketball game, it should be packed. Your family, your friends, people, it starts with the athletes too, not just people like me. Like my friends tell me, like, I'm the biggest advocate. I try to get everybody I can to come, but you got 15, 20 players on the team. Each one of them got 6 or 7 friends. You send it, try to get them there, make it exclusive, because if you get people there, sponsors will come. If sponsors will come, the networks will come and put it on. If you got, I'm looking at the streaming on this weekend, and was there 30 people in the gym, and there's in Tampa's playing, there's a team in Missouri, as like total 30 people in the gym. Who's coming to watch us? How do we push that in the envelope forward? And then that comes with jobs. If we start, we start writing our own ticket, if we get good sponsorships and everything. So, but that, I could talk all day. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I agree with you, totally. You're absolutely right.
Mhm.
So we're coming to the end of our time, but what is a final message that you'd like to leave our audience with?
Yeah, I don't know. I do a lot over here. I hear often that we are a hidden gem and we're a hidden secret. We need to really do more as a society. I'm in the adaptive world. We need to really push the needle forward, and we push the needle forward by what we do is, I'm really good at fundraising and different things, and we got to use our network as our net worth, and we can't be fighting each other for the same things. And that's what we do often. We have to be able to be active listeners to everybody. And I think we will really grow as an adaptive sports community if we listen to each other, if we use our network as our net worth, and we leverage that to do good things. So that's my message out there for everybody. I love adaptive sports. This is my world. This is my life. I'll keep doing it. If anybody's out there that's looking for wheelchair softball, please, we're looking to grow that sport big time. I am in the Hall of Fame. I got my Hall of Fame trophy up there. We're trying to get it in the Paralympics. So these are things that we're just trying to drive the needle and do our thing. So it's kind of my world.
Thanks, Keith. Really enjoyable to talk to you.
Austin. Awesome. Nice talking to you too.